Well, before I get into why this game was completely rigged, first I'm going to criticize the players that played bad just to show the angry Nets fans that click on this that I can, in fact, criticize my own players. I'm not incapable of realizing when my team does bad. But I'm also not incapable of realizing that when a player, Kyrie Irving, almost has double our free throw attempts by himself, there's some fishy stuff going on. So, first off, Miles Turner. I usually give you way more leeway with your rebounds and your scoring because you don't get the ball as much as Domantas Sabonis. You usually box out for Domantas Sabonis, so you can't get the rebound, and you play way less minutes than Domantas Sabonis. But today, 3 points, 3 rebounds, that's not okay. You didn't have any form of injury. It's not okay. And maybe the criticism would be a bit less worse if you played a bit better defense, but your defense wasn't that good. You only had like one block. Let me get this. Why is it always so smudged out up? So I can't defend you on this one. This was just a terrible performance. Jeremy Lamb. You also had a terrible game. You just didn't hit your shots. You just didn't hit your shots. So that's just how that one went. Malcolm Brogdon, while you did help us a lot, you were still 3 of 8, I think, from three. That is bad. That is very bad. You need to start hitting your threes more because these past few games that we've lost, part of the reason is because you start off really cold and you hit barely anything in the first, second, and third quarter from three. Is there anything else? I mean, I'm not gonna blame injuries, even though Nets fans are gonna be like, oh, we had Kevin Durant out. We had Caris LeVert, T.J. Warren out. You combine their stats. I'm pretty sure, as far as points are concerned, they more than compensate for Kevin Durant's points per game. I mean, maybe not rebounds. They might not compensate for the same amount of rebounds. So you might have me there. Probably the same defensive production. Kevin might be a bit better, but I think those two players. I think those two players. You can't hold the whole Kevin Durant thing being injured over our head because we had those two guys out. But now let's get into what the angry Nets fans wanted me to talk about: the free throws. Okay, there was like 40 seconds left when I turned the game off. I think we had 10 or 11 free throws to their 33. We lost by 20. 33 to 10 free throws. And Kyrie almost had double our free throw attempts. Dear Lord, the NBA is terrible at hiding these things. Now, I know you're going to say, it's only 23. You can't, take away 20 of the Nets' free throws because they can't only attempt 3. Okay, well, we should have attempted more free throws, number one. There were multiple times where we got fouled in the paint, but whatever. We're just going to ignore that one. Also, at the end of the first half, we had 4 free throws, and they had 20. 4 to 20, I believe. And then in the next one, we shot more free throw. In the second half, we shot more free throws. They shot only 13. We shot 6 more. They shot 13. So they shot less free throws. We shot more. We got the margin down to 14 after they led by 30. I know 14 is still getting blown out, but it's better than 32. And bringing it that close within a quarter, that shows how powerful momentum is, And that is the reason we had that momentum. There wasn't as much stoppage of play. The more free throws you have, the more stoppage of play there is. So we were able to string together more scoring drives because there weren't as many stoppages of play on the Nets side of the ball. Our defense wasn't disrupted every single play. Our offense could run smoothly from defense to offense. We could transition without having to inbounds after somebody shot free throws. And we got more confidence as it went on. Momentum is a very powerful thing. But then they got more free throws in the fourth. I can't prove it statistically, but it definitely felt like they got more free throws in the fourth. That's just my feeling, so I can't really say that's a fact. But you can't say that it wouldn't have been at least a little bit closer if they called it more fair. Even a Nets fan has to admit that if they called it a bit more fairly, we might not have won, but it would have been within 10 points. We would have been within 10 points when this game ended. You have to at least admit that, even if you're a Nets fan. So, it's just frustrating when I know we shouldn't have lost as much as we did. And since it's the Nets, everyone's going to look at this game. It's these games where everyone looks at, where we get embarrassed. But this one, we shouldn't have actually gotten embarrassed. Because they freaking called everything for the Nets and nothing for us. Our momentum was just non-existent for a whole half. That is very, very, very bad. That is absolutely terrible. And I just wish that the NBA could be more like the MLB or NHL, where they do not blatantly call things against teams. The NHL and MLB, they still have big market teams. They still have teams in Los Angeles. I guess for the NHL, it'd be more, teams like Montreal or Toronto. But they don't give those teams special treatment from refs. They don't give the Red Wings special treatment from refs. Even though we suck, we still have a lot of history and bring in a ton of money for the NHL because we have a huge fan base. We don't get any favorable calls, really. MLB, there have been a few bad calls, but there's always a few bad calls in history of any league. But, you still have your big market teams. Anaheim, the Angels. Florida teams, they have a lot of money in Florida. Just any California, Florida, the Knicks, the Yankees. They get a little bit of special treatment, but they don't get that much special treatment. And I'm a Tigers fan. We hate the Yankees. They don't get that much special treatment. Freaking hate the Yankees. They threw at Miguel Cabrera. Whatever. It's a basketball video. Focus on basketball. But NFL, NBA, be more like the NHL and MLB. They don't give teams that much special treatment. They might get a few favorable calls now and again, but they don't get huge margins like this. And before you say, well, the NFL and NBA have way more opportunities to call unfavorably. Pass interferences, free throws, that type of thing. Refs can mess those up all the time. NHL, slashing calls, hooking calls, tripping calls, illegal checks. Those are all things that can be completely blown by refs. Goalie interference, that can also be completely blown by refs. A slashing, they could blow it by just saying, oh, that guy, he touched his leg with his stick and he kind of stumbled a bit. That's slashing. Oh, he kind of touched his leg, the front of his leg, with the curve of the stick. That's hooking. He lightly tapped his skate and he fell over. That's tripping. He lightly touched the goalie's shoulder and clipped him when he skated by. That's goalie interference. The MLB, those are just examples of how the NHL can blow their calls. The MLB, outs all the time. There's so many close first base outs or they could call out or safe, and it's so close they could easily blow those to ruin let's just say, a perfect game like they did for my Tigers once. But they don't do it that often. I know I just said they did it to my Tigers, but they don't do it that often. They could ruin that. Fan interference, they could definitely blow that. I mean, the MLB probably has the least amount of calls you could blow, but outs, they can mess outs up a lot, and that'll ruin a team's momentum on defense tremendously if they get out calls wrong. They can get, one that they get wrong all the time, balls and strikes. You know, on TV, you might see the strike zone in a little CGI box. Umpire does not see that. He does not see that little CGI box. He has to use his brain. And if he wants to blow a game for a team by calling, say this Purdue poster is my strike zone. It definitely, my strike zone is way lower. But say that Purdue poster is my strike zone. Throw a ball. Say the umpire is favoring the team that's batting. Right here, a ball could be thrown. Right here, a ball could be thrown. Here, any of these corners within this circle, they could call that a ball if they wanted to rig it for a team. They could even, do one right here, get a bit closer. It'd be way more obvious, but they could do it. If they were favoring the team that's on defense, call this a strike, call that a strike. Down there, that's a strike now. Right here, Brazzoni's, that's a strike. Right here, that's a strike. They could blow that. They could blow the strike zone tremendously by whatever team they fancy on any given day. So don't come at me and say that those refs can't blow it for a team. Because they most certainly can. So, NBA. Just be more like the NHL and MLB. Actually call the games how they're supposed to be called. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. That's not funny. I don't know why I think that's funny. It's like the most overused joke after a lecture ever. But yeah, that's my spiel for this game. Tomorrow, Purdue plays, the Red Wings play, and the Pacers play. I'll have the Red Wings game on my computer, Purdue game on my phone, and Pacers game on the TV. I don't know why I pointed that way when the TV I watch is downstairs, but whatever. I'll try. I won't be able to, I might get distracted by one game if one's more intriguing than the other. So there might be a few non-box score things that I miss. So I apologize in advance for that. Like the Purdue game might be way more interesting than the Pacers or Red Wings game. So I might kind of get sucked into that game and watch those games not as much. So I'll try my best on that. But when 3 teams play, all basically at the same time, it is hard to judge. It's hard to judge all those games. I'll try my best though. But I'll see you guys next time. And as always, I'm not funny. Let's hope I make it to next time.
Love on each other, as in, tell each other they love. I don't know, who the person is, so the fuck you doing? The fuck you doing? Dumbass. My bad, y'all. That just pissed me off.